Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Madam Vice President, High Commissioner Zaid Rad al-Hussein, distinguished representatives, ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased to be here with you at the United Nations Human Rights Council, presenting the aspirations, commitments, and realities of our nation and our government on the promotion and protection of human rights. Taking this opportunity, I would like to thank all nations who supported my country to become a member of the UN Human Rights Council for the first time. Afghanistan attaches great importance to this august body of the UN responsible for strengthening the promotion and protection of human rights around the globe, and for addressing situation of human rights violations. I believe that it's entrusted upon all of us to advancing the causes of human rights through dialogue and cooperation for a better and brighter future for the generations to come. Afghanistan has and continues to consolidate its human rights gains. We are now honored to be an elected member of this Grand Council, an opportunity to collectively promote and protect the human rights values and principles across continents for all peoples. Mr. President, our Constitution acknowledges the importance of the United Nations Charter in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It also enshrines civic, political, economic, social, and cultural rights, as well as gender equality. More importantly, we are proud of our achievements in areas such as freedom of expression, civil society activism, and women's growing participation in the political, security, and economic domains. Our history and experiences have taught us many lessons, but we continue to learn from daily challenges we face, whether they emanate from terrorist attacks, the narcotics scourge, domestic violence, institutional weaknesses, lack of access to services, or pure and simple poverty and displacement. I am happy to report that Afghanistan's Independent Human Rights Commission, established in accordance with the Bonn Agreement of December 2001, was officially recognized by Afghanistan's Constitution of 2004. The Commission, dedicated to the promotion, protection, and monitoring of human rights, as well as the investigation of abuses, continues to play a significant role in promotion, protection, and monitoring of human rights in the country. I want to stress here that the National Unity Government is supportive of continued consultation and cooperation with Afghanistan Independent Human Rights Commission and other engaged civil society organizations in order to address new outstanding issues in regard to old and emerging facets of human rights development in the country. Mr. President, our responsibilities as a responsible nation state have grown. Afghanistan has signed and ratified 7 core international human rights instruments and 2 optional protocols to the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Last year, we also ratified the optional protocol to the Convention Against Torture and Other Cruel, Inhuman, and Degrading Treatment or Punishment. I skip a few paragraphs for the sake of time, which are available in the text. Afghanistan is further committed to accede to the International Convention on the Protection of the Rights of All Migrant Workers and Members of their Families, an international convention for the protection of all persons from enforced disappearance in the near future. We have initiated a judicial reform program that includes review of structure and procedures. As a result, over the past 2 years, most of the human resources of the Supreme Court in Attorney General's office is being recruited through a merit-based competitive process with noticeable female representation. Freedom of expression has been a fundamental success, contributing to the promotion of human rights, social accountability, and transformation that are unique to Afghanistan in our new cyber-connected generation, where social media usage, next to traditional media, plays increasingly important role. The law on access to information has helped expose the citizenry, including a vibrant civil society, to concepts and tools associated with human rights promotion and protection. A bit more on promoting women's rights. Our multi-year action plan on the implementation of the United Nations Security Council Resolution of 1325 on women, peace, and security was endorsed in 2015. The country has concluded a national action plan on women's economic empowerment through an inclusive and extensive process involving women representatives from the provinces and civil society. Girls' education, including access to higher education, maternal health and nutrition, women access to employment, access to justice, and women's participation in the peace process are key planks of this action plan. The other group that needs special attention and care are our children. Children are vulnerable and prone to various forms of human rights violation throughout the world. In my country, children have been subject of various violations, especially at times of heightened conflict in the form of terrorism, indiscriminate violence, displacement, lawlessness, and poverty. Over the past 16 years, we have tried to change our children's conditions for the better through investment in education, healthcare, public awareness, in law that protect and prevent abuse. In spite of weak infrastructure and closure of schools in conflict-hit provinces, today more than 9 million children go to school. Almost all children receive vaccination across the country. And recruitment of children in the military formations is forbidden. But we still are facing numerous challenges caused by international terror networks who recruit, train, deploy children even as a suicide attackers. Despite the return of more than 4 million citizens of our country back to their homeland over the past 16 years, our people still make one of the world's largest refugee populations. Added to that is the growing number of internally displaced persons. My government is committed to providing effective mechanisms and services for addressing their specific needs. I lead the Displacement and Returnee Executive Committee at the interministerial level to ensure an effective government-led response to the protracted refugee and IDP problems. The government aims for a durable solution that consists of improved security, employment opportunities, and land management reform. The steps taken so far in the peace process, regional economic integration, and civil service reform also aim to seek solutions in this area. Mr. President, I am speaking to you today at a time when my people are going through a difficult period and their human rights are being challenged by terror in armed groups who are, in the most cases, operating from foreign-based sanctuaries. Civilians in our security forces are the main victims of indiscriminate bombings and suicide attacks. No place is safe. Mosques, hospitals, schools, universities, media centers, markets, and other soft targets are vulnerable. The loss of life is high, but at the same time, our valiant security forces have, since 2015, almost entirely shouldered the burden of defense and offense against terrorists and militants who enjoy sanctuaries beyond our border regions. As a result, reducing civilian casualties is of utmost importance to us. We have engaged with the UN Security Council in a constructive debate on the security situation in Afghanistan and are thankful for their recent visit to Kabul, where we presented them the hard facts in state-sponsored terrorist networks, including financing, training, and sanctuary facilities. We request all international organizations and governments to assist us in dealing with these violations and to mitigate further attacks. Our security forces, made up of volunteers, are provided basic human rights training to make sure that they understand their obligations under domestic and international law. The National Policy on Prevention and Mitigation of Civilian Harm under draft will soon provide specific guidelines to be undertaken during security operation to prevent civilian casualties and damage to their property. The government is tasked to investigate allegations of violation of humanitarian law. On my part, I chair the senior-level protection working group on civilian casualties. It's in this context, as a part of our three-pronged interest within confines of this council, which are the protection of civilian lives or the rights of life, the right to education, and the right to development, that we continue to work along with other nations for the promotion and protection of human rights. Unfortunately, the overall situation of human rights around the world is alarming. Armed conflicts causing civilian suffering, climate change, migration, acute poverty and inequality, oppressive measures to quash basic rights, and even challenges facing multilateralism from the ugly side of the diverse communities and victimized societies. We have signed on to the truth that human rights are universal, indivisible, interdependent, and interrelated. We cannot allow exceptions or special categories to emerge. We have a responsibility to see through the fog of power politics, injustice, and apathy. We need to treat all as the same, from the Middle East to Sub-Saharan Africa, from the Rohingyas forced out of their homes to abducted school children and endangered minority groups. We need to use every instrument at our disposal to protect, assess, and ask for change. Nations, states have an obligation to uphold international humanitarian and human rights law. We cannot allow any party to violate or abuse those laws. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end, I would like to convey to the distinguished members that the National Unity Government believes that equality and justice are requisite to peace and sustainable development. Afghanistan has endorsed the basic pillars of sustainable development, which include economic, social, and environmental goals, as well as the integrated principles of peace, justice, and institutional development. Afghanistan's National Peace and Development Framework, 2017-2021, affirms the vision and commitments of the country to achieve self-reliance and improve the welfare of its citizens. The economic and development forecast of our country is strongly linked with achieving durable peace and reconciliation. For us, human rights are and will be foundational factor across the board. I thank you, Mr. President.